There's a vast difference. A 714 lift went tragic. I'm gonna be honest with you here. Nervous as a cat. Oh.
We had babies.
Lost looseness out. It's hitting this. Slot the holes. All took off running.
2 more little babies.
A duck, okay. Endorsed by Ralphie.
Drip sweating, Dad.
Those my scissors?
It's starting to look up. Lord, it's big. Look at that. Boom chocolate. What is that, Granny? Granny's gonna have a baby. Looking good.
Good old dimes.
Look at you.
Where is that coming from?
I just want to throw up.
Pouring out. Such a bummer.
One thing after the other, ain't it?
It's that race car life.
Oh, lordy.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Looks good.
We got more babies. He's so cute.
Murphy hasn't been good. After 3 years.
Feel the power.
Think she'll do a burnout?
Looking slim.
George.
Get this figured out, don't he?
Welcome back to the Distributor channel. We are back with our big block twin turbo Fairmont here. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know it ended pretty tragically on our first startup. We narrowly escaped danger there. In the last video, we tore the engine down, found out we had ruined our camshaft, which some of you guys predicted. And we're back with a new camshaft. We're actually going to upgrade big time on the camshaft. We're going from a hydraulic flat tappet with a 500 and something lift up to a 700 and something lift hydraulic roller. It's basically the cam that I wanted to put in it when I first built it, but I didn't have the money to do it. We're also upgrading our cylinder heads. So we're going from the no-namers we had on there to a good set of trick flow heads. And we're changing our intake manifold. The intake we had on before was super tall. We're trying to get it under the hood line or as close as we can. So we got some changes. Probably gonna have to remake our air inlet thing, Ralphie, that you prettied up so nicely. Maybe we can just cut it down and shorten it. I hope so. Me and Ralphie are super excited about this one. We have been wanting to get this thing going for a long time, and hopefully in this video, we're gonna get this thing running and driving and making some power. I woke up early this morning and came down here and cleaned all this up. I brake cleaned and scraped everything like crazy. Ralphie came down here a little bit later and helped me too. I was on the fence on whether or not to tear the engine down and clean it out because we did ruin one cam lobe. So obviously that metal went through the motor, but we had good oil pressure. Our cam bearings looked good. And actually, once I got in here cleaning, if you look down through here, you can see all the rods and crank. And I cleaned that junk like crazy this morning through these openings and through the lifter bores. So I feel pretty confident about the cleanliness of it. Obviously, there's gonna be some, I guess I'm betting on the oil filter here. We'll probably run it for a short period of time, change the oil again, put a new filter on it. We'll find out together if it's gonna work out or not. So I've got a new head gasket here. This is another multi-layered steel head gasket, just like the last one. Now this is the thinnest one they make. It's 27 thousandths. And with us increasing our lift by a ton, I'm really worried about piston to valve clearance because we've got dome top pistons, big lift cam. So my plan is to try these 27 thousandths head gaskets and see what our piston to valve clearance is. And if we run into issues there, we might can change our rocker arm ratio or the thickness of a head gasket. I mean, you can get the pistons fly cut if you know a good machine shop. We believe part of our issue with the overheat in the last video was these water passages were not in the head gaskets that I put on the block the last time. It wasn't super obvious when I ordered them back 2 years ago until you read like the little notes at the bottom, but now we have head gaskets with the correct water passages in them. I'm just gonna slide this on here and we're gonna mock this up and see what our piston to valve clearance is first thing. Let me show you a comparison on our camshaft here. That's the first thing we're gonna have to put in the motor. As you can tell, there's a vast difference in our camshaft profile. Look at the width difference in the lobes there. That shows you a lot there. There's vastly different specs on this camshaft. The old one on your right is a 228/238 at 50 thousandths duration. The one on your left is 251/255. Big increase in duration there. The one on the right is 540 lift, and their new one is 714 lift, which is the biggest cam I've ever put in the engine. And this one's 114 degrees. This one's 115 degrees lobe separation angle. So there's all your specs for all you nerds like me. We ain't keeping no secrets around here on our camshaft. One thing you need to keep in mind when you run a big roller cam like this, especially an aftermarket one, is if it has a billet core like this, you're supposed to run bronze or melanized cam gear. This is what went tragic in our cam. You can see it round the whole lobe off the side there, but even more so, the lifter. It really killed the lifter. This is what we're getting rid of. Kind of get what you pay for with a lot of camshafts. That one was $87. Well, one thing that hurts hydraulic flat tappet cams in general anymore, or flat tappet solids, especially the stuff they've taken out of oils over the years. Oils used to have zinc in them, so if you're gonna run a flat tappet, you need to use a good break-in oil that has zinc. But this is a retrofit hydraulic roller from Comp. It was actually custom ground for this setup. It's actually not that bad to get a custom ground cam made. I used to always think it was like vastly more expensive, but if you're wondering what cam you need for yours, it really helps to call, you know, the tech line and get their recommendation at least. And they may recommend you a shelf cam.
Look at how close these are to the bearing.
Yeah, it's like barely fits inside the cam tunnel there. Yeah, it definitely limits how much lift you can have with the cam journal size. Like aftermarket blocks will go with like a bigger cam journal.
Shop Kitty, what are you doing?
He's in there. He's gonna drive it. So even with a new part like this, you want to clean it off, make sure there's no dirt or debris, because they come coated in oil, and oil is like a magnet for dirt. They're usually really clean, but you just want to make sure. I like to use like a paste style assembly lube myself. It's not as critical on a roller like this. Ralphie says it's gonna have a chop.
It is.
If any cam we've ever had is gonna have chop, it's probably gonna be this one. I mean, even the cam we put in the Gremlin wasn't this big.
Yeah.
Isn't this one of your favorite things to do? Build a motor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too.
Is that for your oil pump or something?
That's the fuel pump lobe.
Oh.
So you can run a mechanical fuel pump if you want to. Let me put some where I can reach on this cam bearing here. I'm glad our cam bearings look good still. All right, cam gear towards the back on the Chevrolet. Be careful not to hurt your bearings. You know, it pushes the assembly lube off of these cam journals as you go through each one, so I like to put some extra right before they go into the actual journal they're going to go in. It may not matter, but it makes me feel better. Let's take a punch in the end of the cam here to give me a little leverage. There we go, we're in. And it spins freely, good deal. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of alignment issue with your cam bearings, but usually on an engine you've already ran, you don't have that issue. We got our double roller timing chain that we used in the last setup. We're gonna clean all that stuff up because we don't want any kind of dirt getting back in this motor. So just every step of the way, we're gonna be cleaning parts. I'm not going to final install this right now, just in case we have to retard or advance the cam for piston to valve clearance issue things. I'm just gonna put this on here dry, line our marks up, zero this out. There you go. Right there. Since we're going from a hydraulic roller to a flat tappet, we're gonna have to put like a cam button here to set our end plate and make sure this cam doesn't walk around as well. Here's our Comp short travel lifters. So these kind of give you some of the advantage of like a solid cam. So it does have some give to it like a hydraulic lifter, but not as much. It ups your RPM capability. It's more for a race setup, and that's what we're planning on doing with this. So these are link bar style lifters. All the part numbers of these are in the description. Looks like they fit very nicely in there. The link bar goes on the inside with this retrofit, and you want to make sure that your arrow on your link bar is pointed up. Here's our Trick Flow PowerPort 320cc heads. I actually took 2 of the valve springs off because I was doing some preliminary measurements, but I'll give you a peek here at the ports in this thing. How nice does that look? That ought to give us a nice increase in flow. You can see they got CNC work on the exhaust bowl area here. There's no like lip right here or anything coming off the valve seat. So these ought to be a big improvement over what we had on this thing. I took the springs off because we're putting some test springs on here. So that way it doesn't collapse our hydraulic lifter and gives us an accurate reading. If you watched our 302 Ford build, we use the same setup in it. It's a little easier to install than the factory ones are. There's that.
This thing's gonna be fast. It's gonna be hog leg.
I've been super excited about building this thing for a while now. I'm really wanting to get back to the drag strip. Been a minute since we've been there in something real fast. We got some Play-Doh here. We're gonna stick it down top of our valve release and see what we got here. We need somewhere around 100,000 clearance on the exhaust and 80 on the intake at a minimum. A lot of people think it's just the lift that sets your piston to valve clearance, but it's also your duration, because if you get all that lift but the piston's headed back down, you know, it's not a big deal. You know, it really depends on when it opens. So basically that valve comes down, pushes on the Play-Doh, because that's really the only witness you have to what's going on inside there.
You want me to put some oil on?
Yeah, put a little oil on top of it so the valve doesn't stick to it. Yeah, there we go. I'm glad these aren't cast iron. I bet it was really cool when the big block Chevys and stuff first came out. I bet that was a really big deal if you lived through it, you know?
Yeah.
We're gonna run our studs down in here. Studs do a better job at clamping the cylinder head down, so I try to always run those, especially in boosted applications like this. We're just gonna install them around one cylinder here. We'll pull it right back apart. Marge loves it when we mop stuff up like this.
Drives me crazy.
So this is one of the nice things about a big block Chevy is it has more head bolts around the cylinder. So basically every bore has 6 head bolts instead of like 4 like an LS motor does. So that's really nice. There's Miss Piggy. How you doing? There's just a lot of little nerdy things about these engines I like. Put some torque on this right here. You want your distance to be correct here. You don't want it to be sitting up too high. We also got to figure out our push rod length. Going from a flat tappet to a roller, we're going to have to get different push rods, and you can't check that until you got it finally done. I'm test fitting my push rods here that we had in this engine before. They look like they're definitely going to be too long for this setup. So we're going to have to do some push rod measuring. I may be able to just mock it up with this just to see our piston and valve clearance up. She talks to you about it, don't she?
Everything I could do.
Well, let's see how this goes. Hopefully it doesn't dead stop us here. I didn't feel anything hit there. You think it's good, Ralphie?
Yeah.
I just remembered, before I pull this apart, I'm going to go ahead and see how this is riding on the valve to see how far off our push rod length is. I think they're both going to be long, honestly, and we're going to have to shorten both of them. Okay, let's bust this thing apart and see what we got. Hopefully we have good news here. Squeeze, what you painting today?
I'm painting jellyfish.
Let's see it.
Ooh, very nice.
I've been worried about this for a few weeks. Need some more animals?
I don't even want.
So see our marks on the top of our valves here. It looks like our exhaust one is actually pretty close. It's in the center, but this one you can tell the intake one is just a little bit too long. It's pushing the roller tip too far over this way.
You like barely touched.
Really? It looks like our intake valve, you can see where it touched right there. And the exhaust did not even touch here. I mean, nothing. That's really incredible to me considering how big that cam is. So we're gonna cut it right down the center here where it hit the most. Peel this back off there without deforming it. This turned out very similar to the way our small block Ford build did. So the bigger valve is what's getting close. You see how it's close to the edge there? Like as far as driving itself straight into the piston, you got all kinds of room, 230 thousandths. So those pistons must be set up for a lot of piston to valve clearance. Measure this thin spot. That right there is about 50 thousandths. The way that looks though, I think we'll be fine because it should never get closer than that. The valve's going this way, not side to side. I think we'll be all right there. I'm no pro engine builder, but we have 230 thousandths clearance here and even more on the exhaust side. So surprisingly, we have all kinds of piston to valve clearance. As long as our valve doesn't move side to side, 50 thousandths, we'll be fine. And with brand new heads and brand new guides, I wouldn't think that would happen. Here's you a better shot of what I'm talking about right there. So as long as we don't have side to side movement, I think we'll be all right. With us now having water going between our head and block, that'll help out dramatically. Now, if you're wondering about the dome top pistons, this thing is set up to have just under 10-to-1 compression. So our plan is to run this thing on E85 ethanol eventually. And with the twin turbo set up, we ought to be able to make a bunch of power without a ton of boost. With E85, you can run more compression. Basically, the more powerful your engine is on motor, the easier the turbos spool up. So in the past, I've kind of went the opposite way and tried to drop a bunch of compression, not put much camshaft in it, really not built the motor for power. And I've struggled some in the past with getting them to spool up. So hopefully with having a really powerful all motor setup, we won't have any turbo spool up issues is what I'm hoping for. The more power you can make on motor means the more power you can make on boost as long as you're not octane limited. So E85 has a really high octane compared to like pump gasoline does. We ought to be good to go with it. We've had our lifters sitting here in oil for the last few hours. You want to go ahead and do that ahead of time. Arrow's not pointing up, so here's the trick to that. Bloop. That one got me before. So we're gonna make sure all of our lifters fit in our bore good. I ain't never had any short travel lifters and something. I'm super excited about this camshaft and lifters because it should step our power up quite a bit with these cylinder heads as well.
We need some ball bearing turbos.
Come on, maybe one day. Okay, well the lifters feel perfect. I don't see any issue there. We should be good to go now to go ahead and final install our timing chain setup and set our cam button. Here's our cam button. Now I'm gonna be honest with you here. The one I ordered was not the right diameter for my timing chain. So this one is one I had bought for my Super Coupe 202. It's not actually made for this engine. It's slightly shorter, so we're gonna have to see if it's gonna work or not. The one that's actually made for this engine is an extra like 120 thousandths longer. But usually you have to cut them down to make them fit. So we're hoping that that's the case here. So we basically got to test fit the timing chain cover to see how much clearance we got. We need between 5 and 10 thousandths clearance between this button and the front of the timing cover, and that keeps the cam from walking back and forth. Because in a hydraulic flat tappet setup, there's like an angle built into the lobes, and that's what keeps rearward movement on the cam to keep it from coming out forward. With a roller, obviously you don't have that. You can set up a dial indicator through this like drain back hole in the block and push the cam back and forth. I'm just going to use the Play-Doh method here. I want to stick Play-Doh again on the end of this. I've got my actual gasket I'm going to use because the thickness of that comes into play here. So you got to have everything you're actually going to use when you do this kind of stuff. Put some oil on that timing cover there. The smell of that Play-Doh, man. Reminds you of when you was a little kid, huh?
Mm-hmm. Good memories.
I think everybody played with Play-Doh. At least back then they did. It doesn't seem to be bottoming out. I'm going to start some bolts in it just to get it exactly where it is. Now this timing cover actually has a big indentation where that is right in the middle, so hopefully we're not too short. Pull this guy back off of here. Ooh, that was all at once, wasn't it? You can see where it touched it there and flattened it out. So we're gonna try to cut this right down the center.
Not a good helper.
It's very obvious where it was, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you just by looking at it, that's more than 10 thousandths. It's about 150 thousandths. So that cam button is not long enough, which is what I was worried about. Putting a bunch of crazy parts together like this, you run into stuff like this from time to time. Mm-hmm. Especially when you order the wrong cam button. We got all kinds of helpers in here, don't we? It does not look like we have the option to shim it forward because it's already up against the surface of our lock plate here. I thought maybe it was back in there, you know? But it's not. We're gonna have to do something different. Yeah, see, it's flush against the back, flush against the front. They say you can bend the timing cover in, but with that much, I don't think I would be safe to do that far. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to order the right thing. Well, I called every parts store in town. O'Reilly says they can have it 2.5 days from now. Marge brought up a good point though. Why don't we throw the heads on it, make sure what our push rod length needs to be, so we can go ahead and order this, order the push rods at the same time. So that was a great idea, Marge.
Oh,
so we're gonna throw the heads on it for good. Because we have kind of a rough block surface, and with a multi-layered steel head gasket, you really need like a fresh, nice surface. We're gonna spray Hylamar on the block side of this to give it the best chance of sealing. Go ahead, Rob. We've been using this lately and worked great on the Yukon and everything, so I've always heard good stuff about it. It's $40 a can. So you let this tack up for 10 minutes and you can bolt it together. We got a clean and dry block surface here. Like I said, this is a 27 thousandths thick gasket, so real thin. One issue I knew we had already is we have a 714 lift cam, and these trick flow heads are set up for up to 700 lift. So these are the springs we had on there on those two we put the test springs on. So I'll end up ordering some 750 lift springs. So it's part number 16324-16. These are good for 750 lift instead of 700 lift. So we're gonna swap out these springs real quick. Their recommended install height is 1.95 inches. Let's see if my valve spring compressor will work. You see the guys with the pneumatic ones, just like push a button. I need to get one of those, but man, they're not cheap. Oh my gosh. That's super hard to do. Oh my gosh. This is not the right tool for this. We've had to change it up to a different style of spring compressor. I'm hoping this one can push it down. It screws onto the rocker stud. Looks like it's at the wrong angle, isn't it? Probably because it's got canted valves that's messing up. It is easier to push it down, that's for sure. It seems like because this is a canted valve head, that these are just at the wrong angle. So I'm gonna try to, that is so weak feeling. Try to straighten this out, maybe it'll work for us. There you go.
I'm still struggling.
Struggling. I think that's it, watch out. Okay, that's a beast right there to put in. All right, just 15 more of those to go. This is the last one on this head. It just took entirely too long. Marge is nervous as a cat with this stuff for whatever reason. She thinks it's gonna get her the whole way through.
Exactly.
It's not that bad until they have these heavy springs. All right, you ready, Marge?
Come on, it's close, it's close.
Get Ralphie, go.
Come on.
Get right
You
here.
have your eyes closed or something?
You're making me laugh.
What are you doing?
I can't. Where is it supposed to go? Oh no.
That one's gone. Oh! You get it?
Yeah, I about got it. All
Alright,
right.
get it on there, guys. It's right there.
Okay.
Did I-
No,
wait.
you bought.
It's got it. It's got it for sure.
This is how it's been every single one, guys. Right here. This is how nervous she is. Get it in there.
Just what?
She is.
So nervous the whole way
Like
through.
an explosion.
I need a break after.
Okay, we got that head done at least. We're gonna go ahead and bolt it on the car. Yeah, they seem to be all seated in there good.
Usually they actually bounce. These don't even bounce.
Yeah, they got too much spring pressure, don't they?
Yeah.
Ah, let me clean this off real dry and we'll put it on there. Okay, that's on there. Let's thread all our studs back in. We gotta put that thread sealer on, Ralphie. Will you get that? So this is because these head studs go into water jackets. You don't want coolant seeping up through your threads and causing a leak. So it's got 3 different lengths. There's mid-length ones on the top row, long ones in the middle, and then really short ones down below that, my left end. So these already have a little bit of ultra torque still left on them. We're gonna put some more on there just to make sure. This helps with your torque reading to make sure it's accurate, which studs are already more accurate than bolts. Put all these on here. It says to tighten these in 3 stages, ending at 80 foot-pounds. So we'll probably do 40, 60, 80. Like she said. Here goes 40. Trying to follow the sequence here. Basically start in the middle, work your way out to the ends. All right, here you go. Your time to shine, Ralphie. 80. All right, start with this guy right here.
I can't do it with my left hand and I gotta.
Right here.
You got it?
Yeah. There you go. Easy peasy.
I'm squeezing.
Last
One-handed.
There you go. Okay, well, that head is on there. So these have a short rocker stud and a long one. And the short one goes on the intake side. The intake port's right in the way. And the long one goes over here. Now the long one is a blind hole, so it shouldn't need any thread sealer. But the short one going to the intake port definitely needs to be sealed up. I'll put some Loctite on the exhaust one. We don't want that backing out. So you gotta pay attention to where things go to know what to put on the threads. Trying to center the push rod up in the hole in the head. Luckily, she didn't need the entire directions. Our older ones on the intake side are 8.35 inches. So we know that side's gonna have to be shorter. So I've got my adjustable push rod. Let me just kind of eyeball it with the rocker arm and see where we're at here. It was way over the tip of the valve there. Yeah, see, as I shorten it, it's pulling it over. So we really need to be on this side of the center. So when it comes up, it's gonna rock over. I think it looks pretty close. Let me try that. I'm gonna repaint this on here to kind of see our pattern. Reset our valve lash back to a 1/4 of a turn of preload. It looks a lot better. That looks really good right there. Dead center of the valve stem. The length on this, 7.885. So I'll have to order something that length. Once again, I'm just gonna start out by eyeballing it. I had pretty good luck doing it that way. Try to get it down where it looks like it's sitting pretty close to where it needs to be. And also it has plenty of threads here to grab. So after a couple tests there, I think we got it. Our old one was 9.125, 8.8 inches. We'll get that ordered up. We actually have to leave right now to go to a funeral. So when those parts come in, we'll put the rest of this together.
Look, we have babies tonight. Dollies have babies. A boy and a girl.
Got hops this morning.
All right, guys, welcome back. We've got our parts in the mail. We had some baby goats born, and we bush hogged our field, and we went to a funeral of a good family member. We are swapping out the very last valve spring right now. Is that gonna go? There we go. And we had to modify this. Give them a up close on that. This thing was at the wrong angle, so it was way too bent this way. So we bent it down, and then it wouldn't stay, and it cracked the weld. We put some 3/8 bolts in there and welded it up, and it worked way better on this head, didn't it? Than that
Yes.
one. But we got our new cam button, which is like 100 and something thousandths longer. Part number 205 from Comp Cams. That should fix our problem with our cam button. And we got our correct length push rods. Let me show you those real quick here. Here's the difference in our push rod length. You can see the shorter two are the ones we're going to use. You can see the height difference between our stock lifter and our roller lifter there. The distance difference there is why we have to run a shorter push rod. Now this thing has 3/8 diameter push rods. They are 80 thousandths wall thickness. I went ahead and mocked this side up with them. That'll give us more rigidity than the stock 5/16. I went ahead and put 2 of these on. It looks like it's the correct length and all. So what we're gonna do now is do the same thing we did on this side over here and put all of our studs in and all of our guide plates. You've already seen us do it once, so hit the time lapse. So after several hours of work, we've got the other cylinder head on, torqued down. Now I will show you something on these guide plates. On our old heads, it had a one-piece guide plate, so it had no adjustability, but these actually bolt together here, so you can center up the rocker on the valve. So that's what we did was I got it where the rocker was, pulled the rocker back off. I held this steel with an adjustable wrench and then torqued the stud down to 50 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust this very last set of valves here and show you how that process works. This is the intake and this is the exhaust. The intake's fully open and just started to back down. So we can adjust our exhaust right here. Because these are short travel, they only take a quarter turn of preload. So we're gonna take all the loose motion out till right there where it's 0 lash. We're gonna give it a quarter of a turn. I'm not used to that, but these comp lifters are short travel and that's what they require. We're gonna wait until this exhaust one just starts to open. Right there, we can do our intake one. So same thing here. It's easier if you have the intake off, just to be able to mess with the push rod here. I'm gonna take all this lost looseness out. Right there's 0 lash. Quarter of a turn, lock it down here. And this keeps it from coming back loose. So all of our rockers are done. I just laid my valve cover on this side just to keep dirt and trash and stuff out of it. Everything with the heads and valve train is done now. Thankfully, it took a while, but like this is something you don't want to mess up. You know, you want to make sure you get everything right. Lots of different products we're using here to make sure everything's sealed up and won't come loose. Here's the new cam button. I'm gonna tap it into here. It may be too long, possibly, but I think from our math, it's gonna be real close. I'm gonna make sure the cam's all the way at the back. Yes. Let's do our Play-Doh test again. Squeeze, is it all right if I use your Play-Doh?
Yeah.
Good deal. Got the green light. Think it's gonna work well?
Yeah.
Start a couple bolts, back it back out. And this is why you gotta measure stuff, guys. Every step of the way. Ooh. Doesn't look like it bottomed out or anything. Yeah, that's a lot closer, I can already tell. We are right at 50 thousandths. Looks like we're gonna have to shim 40 thousandths. It's supposed to be 5 to 10 thousandths. I looked around and found these copper washers that are 40 thousandths thick, and I'm gonna stuff that behind this, and that's going to space it out, hopefully. Hopefully this works this time. See if we got the magic number this time. It looks like we are right where we need to be. You can see how close it is now. So should be good now with that. I think we can go ahead and throw the chain back on it and put the time cover on. Final assemble the front end. We got our bottle of Ultra Slick here. I'm gonna put on the chain since this is the hopefully final time we're gonna have to do this. There. I'll tighten these down, bend the tabs over them, and those bolts can't back out. I'm putting a really thin coat of RTV on our gasket here just to make sure it seals up good. Put this guy in place. I always worry about leaks. Big block Chevys in general are kind of known for leaking too. So this thing is doweled in place. It's not like a LS motor where I'm worried about its placement with the harmonic balancer, so I'm just gonna tighten her down.
So I'm putting oil on the inside of the seal to kind of lubricate it so it's not just dry.
We have an SFI approved harmonic balancer because we plan on drag racing this car some. One less thing you gotta worry about when you're going through tech. The zero's lined right up, so for timing pointer is good and accurate too. I got an actual install tool here. It makes it a whole lot easier putting these harmonic balancers on. Now you can heat them up, get them on far enough to get the bolts in there. That works too, but this makes it a lot easier. You'll feel it stop when you get there. Right there. Put our bolt back in and we'll be good. Up there?
Yeah.
Thanks, bud. Time to do something I've been wanting to do for a while. test fitter intake here. So I'm a little bit worried about it fitting.
That's so short.
It is a lot
I just
shorter.
noticed how much shorter that
It
was.
looks good with the valve covers, doesn't it? One thing to keep in mind here is to look at your gap here. We have no intake gasket on it. So everything looks like it fits up nice there. The point is trying to get this thing as low as possible. It has a much shorter runner, which raises your RPM band. But I really didn't want that, honestly. I would have been fine with a longer runner, but I really need to get this under the hood line. Let's see, where are we at with that? That's gonna be up out of it, isn't it, right there?
Yeah, I think if we change that, that would work.
We thought about taking this somewhere and getting this machined off there, deleting the idle air control. I really like how that looks, though. It does look really good. They actually sent it with injectors in it, which it wasn't supposed to come with injectors. These are like 50 pounders. I think ours are 220 pound injectors because we're planning on running this thing on ethanol. So now we've got to transfer everything off this old intake. Let me show you. Manifold air temperature, our boost pressure right there, map sensor, water temperature. We got all our injectors here. So we got to swap all that over to this. Hopefully our injectors are the same height. That's one thing I'm really worried about.
Could you use this right here?
Yeah, it's actually got ports there.
Screw stuff.
We shouldn't even have to drill anything. Hopefully it'll be a real easy swap over. One problem I noticed we're gonna have to address is look at this. Our throttle body gets to there, and that's what, 3/4 throttle, and look, it's hitting this. So we're probably going to have to either space the throttle body out or cut this ear off here a little bit. Probably gonna take a minute to do all this. We'll set up on the table and get it all swapped over. Well, we ended up working on this all yesterday until we had to leave. Still don't have it ready to install completely. It actually worked out better than I thought though. We were actually able to fit our throttle body bracket on there. It touches, but it fit. With the spacing of the gasket and this bracket that goes behind here, it gave us enough room for our throttle body to open up all the way. Our Holley 220 pound injectors fit perfectly. They were the same height. We did have to drill and tap this one port up from 1/4 inch pipe thread to 3/8 pipe thread. So this is our air inlet temperature, our manifold air pressure sensor. We put our thermostat housing on here. Now you have to have the special thermostat housing that they sell because nothing else will fit in here. Even that thing is really tight. I wish it went this way, honestly, but it doesn't. I sat on the engine this morning. Kind of exactly what I was worried about this intake happened. Look at the holes, how they line up over there. So I put all the bolts in on this side. They're completely loose. And I was like, well, a lot of times with these foreign made intakes, we'll say, you have fitment issues. So we're gonna have to slot the holes on these. And if you look, these holes are drilled straight in, whereas the bolts actually go in at an angle. So I think if we grind these holes out at an angle or put a drill bit in there, turn it, you know, Ralphie?
Yeah.
We might be able to make it all fit. There's no gasket on there right now too, so the thickness of the gasket will help a tiny bit, but it's a little off. I really do like how it looks though.
Yeah, it looks great.
I think we're gonna try with a drill bit first, see what we can do. So this is a 15/32 drill bit. It's just above 7/16, which appears to be the same size as what was in there. And apparently we just had another set of twin goats born. They all took off running, so me and Ralphie are assuming that's what happened. So I'm pushing down towards the table.
Okay, we had to pause working. We have 2 more little babies. 2 little boys right here.
So what is that, 3 boys and 1 girl so far?
Yep.
In less than a week?
Yep, it's crazy.
We're expecting the next couple days to be eventful with baby goats. After our angle mill job here, I think we're gonna be able to get them to fit. I got a bolt at every corner, and we sat the gasket in there, which also spaces up and helps out. Probably if you stacked the gaskets, it would probably help even more, but I think we're gonna have to lift up on it just a little bit to get all of them started. We just don't need to tighten nothing until we got them all in there, you know? So I think I'm going to go ahead and install the intake for good.
Woohoo!
Yeah, big deal, huh?
Awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and put oil on it because it's 10 times easier to put oil on it this way, and it allows you to put oil on your lifters. Just give everything the best shot. You know, it's surviving. I thought this thing was out, but apparently
She's still going.
she's still going. So I'm gonna ride this train as far as I can here. I'm gonna use a little bit and glue this intake gasket in place, just a tiny bit. Not for sealing purposes, but just to hold it so it doesn't move on me. So I'm using the recommended intake gasket for these cylinder heads. These aftermarket heads have a bigger port. See how that's the same size as the port?
We need all that donkeys.
Exactly. Now the intake manifold does have a slightly smaller port than this cylinder head does. I don't like that, but being a sheet metal intake, I don't have enough room to port it bigger. The intake manifold being a little smaller than the head, I've heard, is a lot better than it being the opposite, where you have a big intake port and a small cylinder head, because then it runs into a flat wall. You got to think about the direction the air is flowing. Everything good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Line me up on the bolt holes.
Go down.
Yep. I think you're fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Dr. Shovel.
A little different style, huh? Squeeze.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pain to get some of these bolts in here. I already had Allen head bolts, and I want to put washer on them, but look how tight some of these spots are. You really can't get a washer. Hopefully this will all seal up here. I wish it fit a little better, but really didn't have any other option with the intake this low. It took a while, but I think I got them all evenly tightened up. I just tried to go from side to side to make sure we didn't have like one side getting tighter than the other. Really, we need to find out about our piping setup. We know this distance getting moved down is going to affect our piping. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and bolt on the exhaust manifolds. They're one of the harder things to put on this car. We'll check and see about our piping, see if we have to remake that. 'Cause we need to get Mr. Fabricator over there on it if we have to remake it. We got to clean up our old headers here we built. This is like made for this. It's a 3M deal I've had forever. Bristle disc.
We're getting it ready for Dad to hit it with that sander thing.
All right, I think we got that cleaned up good. If you haven't watched other videos, we actually had to weld into the port here. This header tube originally came out to here, but on those old cylinder heads, there was like a 1/8 of an inch of sealing surface at the bottom. And the last person that had those heads, every exhaust port was blowed out. Thankfully, with these trick flow heads, there's like this much sealing surface at the bottom, so we shouldn't have that problem anymore. Should seal up a lot better. Before, we were only sealing up to here, so now we're gonna have all this we can use. So I really wouldn't have had to do all this work if I'd have had the trick flow heads in the beginning. Copper RTV this thing real good and throw her on there. You don't want to rub the orange off this, okay? It's a super tight fit because it's a big block. So straight back like that, right about there.
I really don't know how to help you.
I'm noticing that.
That's such a tight fit.
It is crazy tight in here. I don't know how you would do it with a bigger engine. We had to custom make all this stuff. This was originally a set of Lakester headers for a street rod. I'm gonna sneak this guy in now. There's a little bit more room on this side. Right there.
You're the only cat that likes to come down here. It's hilarious. He loves it. He would stay down here if you let him.
Well, he usually does. Like, he will try to avoid us when we leave in the evenings. Sometimes he stays out here all night, yeah. He came down here early this morning with me. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the water pump on here because it's probably about impossible to do with the turbos on here. Yeah, I'll probably also throw the alternator on because it goes way down here. We put a 160 thermostat in this. Last time we started this car up, we had no thermostat. Figured it'd probably be a good idea to put a thermostat in it.
Ralphie's setting up our new welder we got in fan mail. He's fixing to try it out, see how it works.
It like auto sets a lot of things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I always like the low mount alternator brackets. I've ran them on every car I've ever built, starting all the way back from when I was like 15. I just like to put everything down as low as I can to get it out of the way. This belt's really kind of too tight. You kind of got to put it on as you put the alternator on. You don't want to go on there the other way. I need to go to the next size up probably. What are we looking at here?
Going for a duck.
A duck, okay.
I have feet and tight. And a little scissor head kind of.
Did it weld it all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it? What is it, Arc Captain? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Arc.
200.
Okay, Arc Captain MiG 200. Endorsed by Ralphie. Oh, okay, here we go. This heat makes me sweat, you know? I'm talking about sweat.
Are you drip sweating, Dad?
Drip sweating over here. Bad day to skip the deodorant, huh?
Oh, wow. How did you start that?
Well, it's called 50 years of experience.
Oh.
The other direction would help. You're actually loosening it.
This is loosening it?
There you go.
Oh, how's it going the wrong way?
It's just not quite as quick as throwing the old small block in here, is it? Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
A lot of dimes there. Those my scissors?
No, those are Mom's. She said I could use them. It's for a good purpose.
So this line here is oil pressure going to the turbo. Like where you put your oil pressure gauge on your engine, you hook up a hose from there and go up here, and then they get a return line, which is bigger. This is a -4 AN, The bottom down here is a -10. That goes back into your engine. Depending on how high your turbos are, you can tee it into your valve cover, your timing cover. We actually have one draining back into the original mechanical fuel pump hole, and the other one goes into the oil pan. So you just gotta gravity feed the oil back and pressure feed it to it. Look how close it is to the cylinder head.
I don't know if I can get that on there or not. Super close. I don't know how you gonna get that bottom one.
Here, let me see that. Fills up real quick under here. I literally can't wait.
It's starting to look up.
Raffy's gonna put the valve covers on for me while I'm doing this. About to find out about our pop. It's kind of a pain to keep the gasket in place while you're starting everything. I got both the turbos in there for good now. I got our massive fuel line hooked back up here. So my crossover hose between the two fuel rails, I put it down to the lifter valve back up instead of up the way we had it before, because I didn't really like how that looked. Oh. That's not good. What about this?
That is unfortunate.
See, we moved it down so far that we're not even close now. Something's gonna have to change to make this fit. I was really hoping we could like shorten the couplers and make it work, but there ain't no way that's gonna work. Okay, well that's some new challenge there. We may need different couplers, actually. We really need 90-degree couplers instead of 45s now. These are reducer couplers too, so they go from one size to a different one.
Throttle position sensor.
Yeah.
TPS.
There. This is our manifold air pressure. Anybody see manifold air temperature?
What's CTS?
That's the coolant temp. That's up there on the lower part of the intake there. Oil pressure, that's over there on your side. This is idle air control, which is over there. We still gotta tape some of this up and zip tie it, you know.
Looking good, Ralph. What's this for?
Maybe.
Your Mimi's birthday?
Yeah.
Granny, what are you doing, girl?
Just going to inventory, see what's going on around here.
I guess now's as good a time as any to break out our new radiator. See if it fits.
We have merchandise exclusively at thesleeperdude.com. We have paintings, stickers, glow-in-the-dark keychains. We have metal artwork. We have sketches. We have hats. We have hoodies. We have t-shirts of different kinds. You can check out our second channel at SleeperDude2, our third channel at SleeperDude Armed, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at SleeperDude88. Thanks for your support. Woo!
After having overheating issues the last time, which we believe was all because of our head gaskets, I went ahead and got a different radiator for it.
Lord, it's big.
It's bigger, it's wider, and it's a dual pass. So it goes through half the core, comes back and goes through the core again. You can change these out, like if you had an AN fitting or whatever. I haven't even tried it in the car yet, but I did measure beforehand. There you go. We had a Ford radiator in this thing. This is a Chevrolet motor. And before, our lower hose had to come from this side of the engine around to this side and go down to the different sides, right? Well, look at this one, Ralph. It goes from here straight to here. And I think they're the same size. The harder one now on this is gonna be the upper. I really wanted my water outlet to come this way, but the only water outlet they make that fits comes out this way. So we are gonna have to go over to here.
Oh, the radiator was upside down. I was like, that's gonna be so easy.
Should cool the car down. We would love to eventually do like a drag and drop event with this car, so cooling is very important. If you're building a turbo car from the ground up, I would recommend doing your cooling system first, then doing your turbo kit, because the cooling system is more important. Because I've built turbo setups before that you couldn't fit a cooling system on. That doesn't work out well if you want to drive it like I do.
You want it?
Get away from me with that. Quit. You know I hate it.
I'll leave it right there so you can stare at it.
This is actually really close to fitting one. It's a different size hose and stuff for that.
Raffy, did you get your thing finished?
Yeah.
Let's look at it. Look at that. I love it. Mimi's gonna love it.
Here's a side-by-side comparison of them. So you can see the thickness difference in it. It's wider, even the size difference on the hoses. But this lower one's gonna be the one that really helps us out. It's the bigger size we needed and the correct side. This is what our lower hose was last time. I'm surprised this is not what blew up in our face, but it didn't. The top one blew up. We may be able to use just this piece right here now as our lower hose, I'm hoping. So that short piece is not gonna work. It's going the wrong angle. Looks like I'm gonna have to make something here. Here's what we came up with. So I had some leftover, that metal radiator hose stuff I used on the Metromite that fit to take out the gap there and make that turn. So hopefully that'll work. Please still fit. Please still fit. Please still fit.
I mean, do we need this random plastic piece?
That plastic piece there is hitting different there. Oh, you already got it? Can you cut that off without messing my fan up, please?
You better brace yourself. Questionable.
What kind of wild they're in, didn't it? Okay. You're going. Okay, well, it like perfectly fits the core. We're definitely going to cut that off too right there. Come back. Ooh, look at that. It still fits. Okay, so we can keep our fan. That's good news. I was worried about that one. Just drilling a hole in the radiator, that's all.
Mine's in something.
Stop it. Since we're using the same fan, I can plug this right back into there. The factory plug. This is a Hyundai or Kia. We'll see how she does. It's a really big fan, so I think it'll work fine, but we'll find out, won't we?
Yep.
I got 2 hoses here. I think if I cut this one, I can use our thing here. That'll work right there.
Boom shop a lot.
This thing speeds up the hose clamps.
Yeah, it does.
Let's see what we have around here to make our piping. So our throttle body is 4 1/4, and these are like 3 1/2. So we gotta have like a 3 1/2 90 that makes a real tight into there. And you might could get away with our 45s we had here. What do you think?
Maybe.
This goes down to 3 inch. And so does that, okay. Well, there's a 3 1/2 to 3 inch 90. So that works out pretty good. This is a 45 here. It's a little bit high.
It'll work.
I could manipulate it a little bit like that.
Like this, straight in.
Hey, what if we took a 3 inch straight piece and put in there, and then we take a 4 inch straight piece and weld it to it and cut that out?
Oval thing. That's what I was saying.
All right, let's do it. How long does that need to be?
I'll get the wire set up.
We're not that close. 11 inches long, 11 to 12 inches. That's 3 inch there. I appear to have a shorter piece.
Here's our 4 inch piece.
Yeah.
Boom chocolate.
Exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere back here. Down there a couple inches. It's in here. I don't think I've ever built one quite this way before. Okay, like that right there.
It's gonna be like the shortest piece.
Yeah, it's not gonna be much to it. It really needs to be farther forward if it can be like that. And we're only gonna use about a 1/2 inch or something of it right there on the sides. Let's take a piece of 3 inch and we'll mark it out here and cut it out. Something along those lines.
You want me to get over?
All right, so something like that should be pretty close. We're gonna try out our new plasma cutter here. Ralphie's been trying out a bunch lately. As you can tell here, I won't have no metal left. That sleeper dude on Rumble, if you wanna see that.
What is that, Granny? Huh? What's he doing? Hello, love.
That is so much cleaner and easier to use than the torch. If you want to get one for yourself, go to eastwood.com, use code JARS10, and you'll get 10% off your order.
Pretty sure Granny's gonna have a baby. We just seen it kick. Granny.
That's crazy.
That was wild, wasn't it?
They moved her whole side of her belly.
See, Marjorie?
Yeah,
we can
something
hammer
like
those
that.
down, maybe.
And then we'll cut all this out and make it all nice and pretty and smooth. And then we'll have an inlet pipe, hopefully that'll work.
Looking good.
Thanks, Marge. I think it would be better off to cut this out now rather than later, because I think it's gonna be real hard to cut out once we get it all welded in. I'm gonna tack this thing in place, and I think Ralph is gonna finish it. I haven't even got to use the new weld.
Oh, they're pretty.
Gotta beat this down while it's hot.
Literal dimes.
Oh yeah.
You do it with a loop. Well, I need to get that corner right there.
A little thick, but it looks good.
Thick or go home.
So now I'm just gonna take the belt sander and grind all that stuff in there so we don't have any rough edges. It's a little hot. All right, well, there we go. The reason why I left these lips here is you gotta think about the direction the air is flowing. It's coming in from these two ways and in around this way. There's no air going this direction, so it should not affect anything. Can we get all this together at the same time, you think? Okay.
Yeah, it's getting in there.
I think it's gonna work, guys. It may not be the prettiest one I've ever seen, but I think it's gonna work. We do a little bit of adjusting, get our clamps on there. Man, I'm glad we got that on video. I'll slow that down.
That's what I did.
Well, we got a lot done today, actually. We're really close to getting this thing ready to be fired up.
You excited?
I am excited and scared at the same time. So we'll see you guys tomorrow and try to button up everything, and hopefully we can start it tomorrow. Well, we couldn't just go in without checking on the babies.
Hey, babies. Y'all are doing good, huh? Oh, and I haven't even seen these yet. Oh, you're so cute. Look at you. Oh, that's the tiniest little cry. Hey, buddy. You're a crybaby.
They're so cute.
Morning. So I came down here at 5 a.m. and put all these clamps on here, put some heat shield stuff on the headers to try to keep everything from getting cooked over there. Now we're ready to set up our dual sync distributor. In order to do that, you find top dead center number 1 and then roll it back 50 degrees before top dead center, which thankfully our balancer has that marked. So we got that set right now. I did that this morning. Before I drop the distributor in, I want to pre-lube the engine. Got this guy here. It takes the place of the distributor. You gotta make sure it's engaged in the oil pump drive shaft like that right there. So it should be building some oil pressure. Yeah, see that line? Any leaks under it, Ralphie? This is gonna get oil pressure into our lifters, fill up all the oil passages, make sure the oil filter is completely full even though we pre-filled it. Also filter some stuff, you know, if we got anything in the motor that needs filtered.
I just saw it.
What in the world?
Granny, what have you gotten yourself into? Should have left Carl alone.
74.
That's pretty good.
74 pounds oil pressure? Yeah. That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna point the rotor at the crank sensor right here, this little black thing. So it has an indicator light for the crank and the cam. If I do all this right, it should light up with both of them. So I already test fit the distributor without the gasket. Make sure it wasn't bottoming out against the oil pump or anything. Making sure that we engage the oil pump drive shaft. See, it's not dropping all the way down. Right there, okay. Plug that in. I'm gonna put my hold down on just to make sure it doesn't pop up out of there. Turn the key on. Can you see both those lights are lit up? So I move it clockwise until one of them goes out. See, it went out. Go back to right there where it just comes on. And that's supposed to be perfect timing. Now we will verify this though once we get the car running. The exhaust temperature is too hot. Hopefully all this fits with our intake. We've never tested this part. Think you're gonna have any more babies today?
Probably be a day or two before I have any more, I think.
You'd think I could get a coil wire that was the right color and a little longer, you know? Just work on what we got, I guess. It's easier to change the plugs and plug wires from the bottom on this car. This keeps them out of the way. Hopefully they won't get melted. So our transmission cooler mounts to our front bumper. A lot of these have aluminum bumpers from the factory. We're just gonna fill it up with water until we make sure it's not gonna do anything crazy.
It's like a whole bottle.
Where does that come from? Why would there be water back there?
I don't know.
Where's it coming from? It's intake gasket.
What silicone is that?
I I just want to throw up.
It's where that intake didn't fit real nice on the head.
Pouring out. All right, stop. Literally pouring out. It's coming out from behind that bolt. It's coming out from under here. Look, you can physically see the gap between the gasket and the intake manifold, even though it's tightened down. I never saw that. If you look up here, it doesn't have that gap. It's a cheap intake. Not that it was cheap. Honestly, it wasn't cheap. That intake's like over $700 is what that intake cost. We went through all this work. The intake doesn't seal up. That is such a bummer. Because if we go back to the other intake, we have to do all the work we did to swap over this one back. Man, I was ready to come down here this morning and just fire it up and be done with it, you know, and get to drive it for the first time. I built this motor 3 years ago. That's how long it's taken to get to this point. That's what I was worried about when I bought this intake. I was worried about it not fitting right. I've heard some horror stories about these offshore produced sheet metal fabricated intakes. The reason why we went to this intake is we wanted to get it under the stock hood, and the only other options for an intake that's built like this, that's short like that, is like a Plasma Man intake, or like a Frankenstein or something that's like $5,000+ intake.
That is not in the envelope.
Not at all. What a bummer. Because this intake is shorter than even putting a Performer Edelbrock intake on it and welding in injector bungs and putting the shortest elbow you could get or the shortest carb hat you could get. This is shorter than all that. That's why I went with it. Which means it probably got water in our oil. We just put in it. Now it needs another oil change.
That's just one thing after the other, ain't it?
It has been with this project.
Disaster, I don't
It's
know.
like minutes to minutes, huh?
Yeah. That's that race car life.
Your painting's going okay?
At least something is.
Yeah, at least something's going on. Oh, the last thing I want to do is to pull all this back apart. Well, I guess there's no point in pouting about it any longer. I don't think we're going to have different results if we try this intake again. So I guess what we're going to do is pull this intake back off and switch back to our original intake. Honestly, it'll probably make more power, and when I get it apart, I'll show you. The intake runners on this intake are quite a bit smaller than the ones we had. I'm just going to set up a time-lapse camera, and we're going to switch all this out, and it's probably going to take a minute.
Woo!
Okay. That's still wet. We put that on there yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
Why is that still wet? This is the corner that was leaking right here. You can see the water right there. So water, I would say, got right down into the lifter valley. Check this out. Here's the intake ports on this intake. That's the height. See, look at the difference here. See how much taller that port is? And same thing with the width. That's even more noticeable. Look at that. So I didn't like that about this intake anyway. We know this one has ran on the car before. We didn't have trouble with it last time. I guess that's what we're going to throw back on it. So I guess let's swap all of our stuff over now. Oh my gosh, look at this.
Oh, Lordy.
That cylinder's completely full of water. It's a good thing we didn't turn it over, huh? It's damp around all of them, isn't it? Well, this one's not. But like, look, it's wet all the way up here. How did it get wet up there? Just running down the intake or something? What a mess. That valve's closed, which it looks like that valve's closed, judging by the lifter. Maybe it didn't go in the cylinder. We'll have to pull the plug just to see though. This looks like the only one that got water in it. Everything else seems fine. Nope. Nothing got in the cylinder, it looks like. Plug's not wet. So we'll just vacuum that out from the top, I guess.
Not what you expect to be doing this morning.
Not in the slightest. I expected to have my bangs blowing in the wind, window down, driving this thing. I don't trust reusing this intake gasket because it's so wet and soggy feeling now. I'm going to take that off there. I don't know why our silicone didn't dry. I'm going to use a different one this next time for that reason. We're going to go to town and get these gaskets, and we'll be back to try to put it together again. They didn't have a single big block Chevy intake gasket. I ordered one, but I can't have it till in the morning.
That's all water.
That's water coming out of the drain plug.
Yeah.
Ralphie's changing the oil now that we're back.
That's
Oh man.
still water.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Jesus.
Wow. Look at this, Tosh.
Now it's starting to get crazy.
It's still not completely oil.
That's mostly water.
How much water went in it? That's not good for the
Now
engine.
it's starting to get to oil.
We rinsed her out, didn't we?
I guess. It hasn't had an easy life. And it's never drove anywhere yet.
Unfortunately, I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow when the gasket comes in and we'll throw this thing together tomorrow.
Well, Squeeze got her painting done. At least we got something done today.
Yeah.
Looks good. Oh, look at that surprise this morning. This is the tiniest little girl baby we've had. It's like almost half the size of the other ones because her mom is so little. So Brooks and Dunn are doing good out here still. Cash and June are in the buck wild stage already. Oh, there you go. That's a big jump. They're so funny to watch. We got more babies. Mom's running. She just had a baby. Oh, me. Granny's laid up over here. She may be next. Look, it looks just like her. Another little boy. Oh, he's figuring his legs out. He just hit the dirt. It's been a few hours. And look, Flower has had a baby. Another little boy.
He's so cute.
How many boys now?
5.
5 boys? Look at this little guy here. He's so cute.
Well, we had a crazy day yesterday. We now have, what is it, 8 baby goats born?
Yep.
We got this intake swapped out, got everything back together. I glued the intake everywhere I could, just to make sure this thing, hopefully it won't leak on us. We're about to put water in it. I changed the oil again. We're about ready to start it up, I think. We gotta clean our windshield off so we can see if we drive this thing. We'll eventually get to clean this car up. One day it'll happen. All right, well, you wanna put some water in and we'll see if we have a leak? Wait. We already have a leak. I didn't put the lower radiator back on. Well, at least that's fixable, huh?
Well, I think we're good so far, guys. I put the grill and bumper back on it and everything. We're gonna check our timing when we get this thing started up too. It's kind of hard to see because it's like way down in there. Can't really get a straight shot at it. Is it full?
Yeah.
Give it the squeezies. Probably have to wait for that thermostat to open up.
We're gonna get it out of the building just in case. We've tried 3 different radiator caps on this, and all 3 of them are leaking. Nothing wants to seal off against that. I don't know why that would be. You can hear the air coming out of that. All right, temporary fix. Well, that's good.
Murphy. What are you doing?
We're down by.
Murphy hasn't been good. Murphy thinks baby goats are things to play with. Murphy has to be outside of the goat pen right now.
Till they get a little bit bigger.
He's protecting the goats from the outside of their pen, I guess, right now. I guess it's time to try it, guys.
Woo! Oh my God! Smells rich.
It is rich. It's just learning because it's never been driven yet.
Yeah.
It's not making any terrible noises.
It started up.
Yeah. I wasn't getting any information from the computer. It wasn't giving me the pressures and stuff. So let me figure this out real quick. Look underneath it. Anything leaking out? It sounded good. Sounded like it needed to be idled up though.
I think we're at a.
No, that was from before, I think. I think we're good.
So we got it synced up now. Coolant temp, oil pressure, ignition timing. So you watch those. You kind of tell me what this is at. When I go to check it with the timing light, bigger cam, needs a little more idle speed.
You ready?
Go. What's the oil pressure? 65. That was our first successful run
Yay!
without something blowing up in our face.
Literally.
I think the idle needs a little bit of tuning. I see the idle air controls just stuck at 40%. Probably something I need to tune out of it. Make sure our cooling system's tops off. We'll put the radiator hose on it and we'll take it down the road for the first time.
Yay!
After 3 years.
Yay!
Yeah.
Awesome.
Was that?
Excited.
Good
So
warm?
good.
That is so
Dad,
great.
high five.
Squeeze. Don't leave me hanging here, okay? I know you're all about that race car life. We don't know how she's gonna act going down the road. Hopefully, she's a hog leg, you know?
Oh, she gonna be.
For sure.
This is the moment you were waiting for, huh?
Yeah, certified.
Thankfully, we have good oil pressure and everything. We'll probably just drive it down the road one time, and then we'll bring it back here and change the oil before we do any more, because we know there was junk that went through this motor, but it's got great oil pressure.
Super
So
excited.
That's what I am. We have no idea what the boost will be. To give you like a reference point here, an engine like this much cam, this much compression. So you're talking right at 10-to-1 compression, 454. So for you European people, that's 7.4 liters. 714 lift, 7.4 liters. If everything's right, it should be close to 600 horsepower on motor without the turbos. And these turbos, from everything I've seen, are good for about 750 horsepower a piece. It has a potential to make 1,500. Barometric pressure on us right now at sea level would be 14.7 psi. We don't feel it, but it's there. So every 14.7 psi you add to an engine doubles its power. So if this makes 600 on motor, basically 15 pounds of boost, this would make 1,200 horsepower, okay? Not counting losses from like back pressure in the turbo system or anything like that. You are gonna have some losses here and there. On ethanol, that should be no problem. Now we're on gasoline right now just to get it running. We ought to be able to run, you know, lower boost levels on that. I've got some race gas around here from the Pinto. We'll throw that in the tank just for safety. This is 5 gallons of VP 113 we bought in Indianapolis, Indiana last year. This ought to help us out to yield off any detonation. That's what you have to worry about is when you have a lot of compression and you have a lot of boost, then you have higher cylinder pressures, higher heat, and at a certain point, fuel auto ignites, okay? So like you hear the term cars dieseling, that's what it's doing. It's auto igniting the fuel from the heat and pressure in the cylinder. So like you have a car that's supposed to run on 93 octane, you put 87 in it, you turn the air on, you put Becky in the car, and you're pulling the hill with the AC going, and all of a sudden it's rattling the valves like crazy. That is pre-detonation. So before the spark plug fires, it auto-ignites the fuel. So all race gas is basically ignites at a higher pressure and higher temperature before it auto-ignites. So just throwing race gas in your car doesn't automatically give you more power. It allows you to put more timing, more compression, more boost, and make more power.
Why is it so blue looking?
What's that race gas, bro?
Oh.
I guess we're ready to go. The temperature's still at 160 right now.
We got two fire extinguishers.
Wall on the laptop. Yeah, we got 2 fire extinguishers. Squeeze said no thank you. Ralphie's in the back.
I'm ready to feel the power.
All right, first road drive.
There we go.
This is so nice.
Yeah, it is.
So this thing has a 35 spline spooled rear end under it. It's very stout. The computer should run the transmission, so I should be able to put it in overdrive and do its thing. much air fuel? What did it go to?
15.
15, so it's going lean, huh?
Yeah.
Which the computer should be kind of self-learning. Let me try it again here.
Okay, it went to 12 that time, so it went
Oh, that's
down.
good, that's good.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of smoke or something there. This rubbing, we're going to be limited on what we can do with this rubbing. Something's got to be clearance. We're at the big hill. We're going to turn around because I'm not ready for the big hill yet. It's got 55 pounds of oil pressure at a...
190.
We're at 189 on the temp, unfortunately. It's going to get hotter as we continue to drive. Or, oh, we shifted. Or not. It rubs that side when I turn that way. It's just tight. It is spicy. If I had first gear, it'd be super spicy, but it's not wanting me to go in the first gear right now. With those couple rhythms there, we're up to 193. I need to look at the tuning on the transmission because it seems like it shifted too early right now. 191, okay, so it's stabilizing.
Yeah.
We don't really have a good straight road right here in Tennessee. But man, 60 pounds of oil pressure still. We're not losing any oil pressure.
Still running.
Still rubbing. We need to get back and look at our rubbing situation.
That's fun.
That's just barely doing anything of what it can do. We may have to raise the back end up a little bit. That may be part of why we're rubbing. It's sitting so low. It's got some power, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You get up in the RPM band, it definitely would. Fuel pressure staying stable. Do we have a boost gauge up here? We need to change the boost gauge. We'll have to change the gauges around a little bit. Oh man, I'm just so happy it's going finally.
Yeah.
This car has been such a headache. And if you follow the channel forever, this engine was originally built to go in my BMW.
Oh, yeah.
And then we realized how crazy that was going to be to do. And then we brought the rack car turbo coupe. And then it was going to put in the turbo coupe. That changed when we got this car because it has really good suspension. So this has full QA1 suspension. I was like, this has got to be the car it goes in. We don't seem to be gaining temperature, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
We may have to put a bigger fan. This is just a stock Hyundai Kia fan. We may have to put a big donkey fan on it. A lot of guys run those big, like Viper or Camaro Corvette fans.
Yeah.
We are rubbing like crazy. You don't you have to lean that way, Ralphie. All that 100 pounds.
110.
We have done a successful test drive. We are back at the house. Can you believe that?
I don't know. I can't believe it. That's great.
Temperature is 190 still. All things look good. Do you think she'll do a burnout?
Yeah.
We gotta find out.
Got to.
Watch the boost there, Ralph. I'm in second gear starting out, guys.
Where's the boost?
Right there.
Okay.
Ooh, it pushed hard. It just pushed the front end. It really needs first gear there. Trying to do that in second. We still got 50 plus pounds of oil pressure.
It's good.
All things are good.
We made it.
We don't have our two-step hooked up. We need to do that. Hear the turbos? Yeah. Winding down. Oh, I love it. That's so awesome. How'd she look going down the road?
Look great.
It did good. Now we need to back away from the hoses.
I was gonna
here
say, it's
because we
probably
do have
hot.
pressure now.
What happened?
Oh, no way.
Oh.
We heard it rubbing, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Wow. No, I don't think
How's that bad?
So it's just the outside rubbing. We heard it, but it didn't sound that bad, did it?
No, it doesn't sound that
Okay,
bad.
we're we're definitely gonna have to do something with that.
Hey.
Yeah, see, this is what I was expecting right here. See the little scrub mark?
Yeah, like you can see a trail, but
Let me see the backside rub. No, we're good here. So those are 27 by 10.5, so they're pretty big. I did have to get on the brakes pretty hard, and it feels like they need bled probably again. Because I remember we didn't get fluid to the back real good, so it's definitely going to need some brake attention, I think, before we're doing 120 in it or something.
Oh, goodness.
It would only let me go to second gear. So like all that was in second. It's already got a 273 rear end gear. So you can calculate that. Second gear is a pretty high ratio to try to be doing a burnout and stuff in. By the time it came into boost, it was already pushing so hard it just kept going. Which we didn't have no water down, and we're on slicks. I mean, it's gonna stick pretty hard. We can't be driving like that or we're gonna ruin that slick completely. See, last time we cooked a bunch of stuff with the headers, and honestly what I think that was I think our timing was a little off. Because if you have the timing retarded, it increases your exhaust heat a lot. And going back and looking at the video when I edit, like the headers were even glowing some. So we don't have that issue. I think our timing is dead on now, or at least within a couple degrees. So we're leaking past the cap there, and I really don't need a cap there. So we may just take that out and put a straight piece of pipe in there or something. We may drive this thing church tonight. What do you say?
I think we should.
I know Ralphie's wanting to.
I want to. I'll drive separate.
We'll put some narrow ones on we can do burnouts on.
Let's do it. You gotta twist his arm.
Guys, I couldn't be more excited. It's been so long since I've had something this powerful. And we didn't even see the power there. Like, we never even got in its power band. I mean, that's just like...
It may have been like super coupe power.
Yeah. You're talking about an engine that probably makes peak power at like 6,500 RPM. We may have hit 4,000. I mean, we're barely scratching the surface, but we got to get first gear going. Hopefully, we can get this thing to the track this year. And look how good it looks on our Steelies with our caps.
Really good.
I love how it looks. It just turned out really nice. We got to get some sort of hood on it at some point, figure out what we're going to do there. But yeah, I couldn't be happier. It surprised me how easy it drove with that big of a camshaft. Yeah. I was expecting it to be hard to drive, you know. For a big cam, it drove right down the road just fine. Oh, almost. Okay.
Whoa, I did it.
Well, guys, we appreciate you watching. I know this has been a long project, and we appreciate you sticking with us on this one. Big thank you to our sponsors that helped out with this build, like Trick Flow. Cylinder heads are awesome, way better quality than what we had. Big thank you to Comp Cams as well. Switching to a roller cam was a huge upgrade for this. Made me feel a lot better on startup, not worrying about killing the cam. I definitely recommend a roller cam, guys, if you're going to build one. Also, big thank you to Summit Racing. The hoops and casings look awesome on this thing. Drag car builds like this are like a dream come true for me. This is my bread and butter right here. 80s junk with a big motor. I can't wait to get to the drag strip.
Burnout for your homies.
Oh, there you go. We'll have a redwood there now. You're going to be doing a bunch of babysitting the next few days, you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good.
How many more you got left?
At least 3. Yeah.
3 more? You can check out our website at
Distributor.com.
Tell them about it.
There's hats, hoodies, t-shirts, paintings, wall artwork, Ralphie artwork, especially the paintings,
Stickers.
stickers.
She mentioned the paintings twice.
Yeah, she was a nice one.
And we appreciate your support there. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at.
Super 88.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, 88.
He's literally pointing at you.
You can check us out on our second channel at.
Super 82.
Sometimes we post videos on the third channel, Sleepy Dude Armed. Exactly. Thank you to all of our members, everybody that comments, likes, subscribes. We appreciate all you guys. Everybody does super thanks. All that really helps out. Let's go check on some babies, huh?
Yay.
Baby time.
Woo.
There's the burros. How you girls doing, huh? Looking slim. Murphy wants his snack first.
Here.
There you go, share.
He was so nice and gentle. You're first, Queen. Rocky. Rocky Jr. George, do you eat the weenies?
Yeah, I don't know if he ever has he? No. They don't know what they're turning down, do they?
No.
Oh.
You really can't get too close of a shot on that. There we go. This is the latest one, right?
Yes. Hi, baby.
He's the youngest one of all.
Here's a good boy.
They all look so similar. They're all like black and brown and white spotted. Now the smallest one is over here. It's the little girl baby, which Mom was happy about. She wants all girls.
Yes.
I can't tell them apart. They all look the same.
Yeah, that's Brooks and Dunn.
Oh, this is Brooks and Dunn here. Okay. Oh, he's going.
And we gotta separate them because they act ornery to each other. They don't like nobody else's babies near their babies. You got this figured out, don't you?
Yeah.
We're coming from a different angle here, Wayne. Just a little old mini pig. We'll see you in the next one, guys.